Welcome to Americana Archives. Today we have a story entitled Old Jerry's Contract, written by Winifred Dunbar. It says, if there was one person in the world who believed that it was bad luck to break a mirror, it was Walter Lane. It was no ordinary 6x10 looking glass that Walter had joggled against and toppled to the floor. It was an 8x16 feet plate glass mirror, one of the finest ever turned out by Richland & Company, the big glass firm of the city. In getting it ready for delivery, someone stumbled over a supporting frame, and the costly mirror was shattered to atoms. Walter Lane had been in the employ of Richland & Company for over a year. He was held responsible for the damage, although personally he had no hand in the disaster. There were some hot words. Walter felt the injustice of burdening his shoulders with the entire responsibility. But he was discharged, his accumulated wages held back, and threats of a suit to recover the balance of the damages made. And about all I know is the kind of business the house does, and of course, they will blacklist me everywhere with the trade, mourned Walter. He felt pretty forlorn as he walked slowly homeward. There was a notable operatic event on the books for Friday evening, only 2 days ahead. He had invited Leah Moore, and although she had several other invitations for that evening, she accepted his own, so pleased and pleasant that it had made his heart bound. I can't face her, reflected Walter. I'll phone her this evening, and that will mean goodbye. It was distressing to think of it, and Walter's spirits sank lower as he proceeded on his way. Then a sharp slap on the shoulder brought him to a halt, and turning, he faced bluff and hearty grizzled old Jerry Gowan. Old Jerry had been a veteran in the mirror service, but for a year classed as superannuated and lived in an old home some relatives had left him. Walter had been his apprentice, in fact, and Jerry was quite fond of him. Well, my hearty, he hailed. How goes it? Bad, replied Walter, promptly and truthfully. I'm discharged, and he told how. Good, grand, cried old Jerry. I don't mean because you lost your job, but because I need a hand, and I don't know a better one than you. Lad, I've got a big contract. I'll guarantee at least $5,000 for the year. What do you say? What do you expect me to do? Walter asked. Buy broken mirrors from factories. You just broke one, you say. Go and buy the fragments. What are you going to do with them? Cut and fit them to small medallion mirrors. I've got an unlimited order. Somehow the optimism of the old man inspired Walter with new cheer. Somehow his hopelessness was dissipated, and he mustered up courage to call upon Leah and tell her everything. She not only accepted no other invitation, but asked him to spend the evening at her home, and evinced the liveliest interest in his new prospects. Somewhere old Jerry had purchased an enormous number of medallion frames. His business was to fill them with little mirrors made from the fragments Walter purchased at a bargain. Then there was some rush business. The medallion mirrors were packed in boxes. There was nearly a carload of them. They were shipped across the continent. When they arrived at the little town on the coast, they were removed to the Lame Duck. The Lame Duck was worthy of her name, an old shoreliner owned by old Jerry's backer and brother. Then there was a cruise of 800 miles south, and then somewhere off the Central American coast, the Lame Duck came to anchor in the port of the principal island of a vast archipelago. There were natives, thousands of them, and one king over them all. It was with this potentate that Captain Gowan did business. It seemed that on a previous voyage, the captain had presented the king with the first hand mirror he had ever seen. It set his kingship wild with delight. They had no money, no postage stamps, nothing but banana trees and shellfish on the island, sheep and birds. Every native had a mattress of the softest down. As to wool, the islands were covered with thorny bushes that were just loaded with strands of precious wool torn from the passing herds. the lame duck came back loaded with wool and down. The two partners, old Jerry and Walter, left San Francisco with $16,000 between them. So the broken mirror led to a new bright future for Walter Lane, to Leah, patient, loyal Leah, love, contentment, and a happy home. This story comes from the great state of Idaho, being reported in the file or record of May 4th, 1922. Thank you for joining us today. If you want to continue to uncover all of America's lost and forgotten history, then remember before you leave to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and remember to like and comment below. And we will see you next time on Americana Archives.